This is your life, and it's ending 1 minute at a time. The chances that you are even alive right now and born are about one in 400 trillion, some estimates state. Now, in other places I've read, maybe 1 in 43 trillion, but all relatively the same. The point stands is that your odds of even being born right now are basically slim to none, and yet you won the cosmic lottery to be alive. You're here, let alone like just the cosmic lottery you won to be alive, but you're most likely born, well now obviously, but just you're alive to see this video, but you're born most likely after the year 2000. And we live in, I guess you could say, the most safest times, in a way, in all of human history, most convenient time in all of human history, in terms of like easiness of life and stuff like that. I think you understand what I'm trying to say with that. I don't know the exact terminology, but yeah, basically you won the cosmic lottery to be alive. So what are you gonna do? You know, I'm kind of gonna go all over this in this video. Kind of gonna go everywhere in this video, but time has just been a concept that's really been on my mind lately that I really wanted to share, or just like share my thoughts about, and kind of make a final like a call to action at the end. It's crazy because like you won the cosmic lottery to be alive. Not only that, well, you're born now in the, I guess, the most convenient time to live, in terms of like safety and stuff like that. Convenience of life, easiness of life. Most likely you're living in a first world country if you're watching this. I mean, yeah, just like genuinely like insanely lucky to be here, honestly. And the more I think about time, it's just like I don't want to talk about the stuff that like everyone kind of talks about with like lessons of time. Time is short, time is just gonna go by fast. Life is fast, or let's just say, yeah, life is fast, but it's also very short. I want to talk about like a concept that I hopefully don't think that's not really within the mainstream, in terms of like when people talk about like the concept of time and shit, and how I'm gonna like kind of relate that to my like endpoint. And so there's this concept with time that like I don't know if I've read it in like a major religious text, or if it came from just like people that did, like philosophers or people that did research on the concept of time. But wherever it came from, there's this concept that in regards to how life is short, and the fact that like basically right now, as we're living it in the moment, like day to day, life is relatively speaking long, because you're the one experiencing the minute by minute in the moment. But it's like, think of like how when you like look back on, like, I don't know how old you are, but like, look back on like when you were first born, like however many years ago that was compared to now. You might agree with me on the fact that like, from when you were born to like when you were like, well, like where you are right now, however many years old you are, you might agree with me on the fact that like, damn, that time was short, dude. Like that was like from when I was born to however many years old I am right now, that was honestly really short amount of time, regardless of how old you are. Because there's this concept that like, basically think of that concept that I just explained, but on a grander scale, where like when you're at the end of your life, you're on your deathbed, you're looking back at your entire life. People say that, or there's these like researchers or whatever that like research, or like really research into this kind of stuff, where you look back on however many years you lived, you're on your deathbed, you look back, and regardless of how long or however many years it was, it's all relatively the same. Everyone's gonna kind of look back at the end of their life on their deathbed and be like, damn, that was short, dude. That was, oh my god, that like, it's so cliche. Yeah, that was all in the blink of an eye and but whatnot, but like, it's something that we can't even grasp because we're not there yet. Like, we're not really on our deathbed, and like most of us can't really truly grasp the actual like concept that like we're gonna actually die one day. It's all like we all intuitively know it, but like the vast majority of us can't really, if anything, all of us can't really grasp this concept truly for what it actually means. And all that to say that like, when you this grander idea that might not be in the mainstream, that we're like, you look back at the end of your life, and let's say if it was 80 years. Let's just assume, let's just say it was the average. You know, I think the average lifespan is what, like 76 years. Let's just round it up to 80 for clean numbers. You lived solid 80 years of your life. You're on your deathbed at 80 years old. You're looking back, and it all felt like it was really under a day. Like there's this concept where like that perception of time, or like, so let's say, like an example I'm giving right now, you're 80 years old, you're looking back on your deathbed, you're on your deathbed, you're about to die, you're looking back of your 80 years of life, and it might, you might think that it would be like, I don't know, maybe not a full 80 years that you felt like you lived, but it was actually, people say that this 80-year lifespan, at the end of it, feels like not even a day. Genuinely not even a day long. And that's so mind-breaking to me. Like, and I think I believe that. I honestly believe that, that concept, you know, because I think of the last 20 years of my life, and even though it wasn't really the fastest, because, you know, they say like the first, like every year after the next of your life gets faster than the previous year. So like I'm 20 years old right now. Basically the way it goes is like my life, experiencing my whole like year of being 20 years old, is going to be a lot faster than like even being that whole year I experienced of being 19 years old. You get the point, right? So all that to say is, like, if life is, well, the clock is ticking already. That's by default. That's universal. One, that clock is ticking. That's universal. Two, you're going to die one day. That's universal. And also, you don't know when you're going to die. I mean, I just assume this is an 80-year life. And I even said that even an example of an 80-year life, looking back at it, is going to feel like it wasn't even a day long in retrospect. But you're not even guaranteed 80 years. Like, it's so cliche, but like, the reason I'm saying all of this is because when you really like contemplate this, it's like, dude, you don't have time. You really don't have time. Like, you got to just chase your dreams, dude. That's really the whole call to action I'm trying to make in this video. Like, you just got to chase your dreams, you know? So yeah, like, I know like there's probably some stuff in here that you've already probably heard about, but I try to make that I try to like brought up that little concept that maybe not too many people know about, because I don't know, life is short, dude. Life is, you're gonna look back. I mean, even if you live to 100, you're still gonna look back on your deathbed and you're gonna be like, damn, that was a lot shorter in retrospect than like relative to when I was living it in the moment, you know? I don't know, you don't want to be looking back, you know, at 80 years old, 60 years old, 70 years old, 80 years old, 90 years old, even 100 years old. You don't want to look back and be like, damn, what if I just chased my dream life? You know, it doesn't hurt more that like you tried and you failed. What hurts more than trying and failing is like not trying at all. That's like wasted potential hurts more than failing at something or trying something and failing at it, you know? And I don't know, you know what? I feel like I'll give this example. Like, I don't think you would want to be looking back at 80 years old or whatever, say however many years you lived. You don't want to be looking back and be like, damn, why did I spend so much time watching that TV show when I could have been chasing the life of my dreams? Like, regardless of how, like, I know everyone has like certain degrees, or everyone's dream life looks different for every person, but you know, when I say dream life, I mean like truly like your unrealistic, impossible, top 0.0001% life. You know, it's something I have now. It's something I'm building more like every day in terms of the fact that like I'm a delusionalist, you know? I don't like being a realist. I have like a ton of goals that I want to achieve, and honestly, a vast majority of them are like very unrealistic. Most of these goals I have in mind are something that like almost no one will achieve. Like no one will achieve even like individual ones, let alone all of them. But my specific goals doesn't matter. What I'm trying to say is you gotta go after your dream life, dude. You gotta go after your goals, no matter how unrealistic. I get it varies person to person on how unrealistic it is, but I don't know. It just feels like a wasted life, you know? Just like when you look back and you're like, man, I could have at least tried, you know? Obviously, there's no guarantees in life, in anything really, but even just like what I'm talking about with success, there's no guarantees that, you know, you'll achieve the life of your dreams regardless of how unrealistic it is. But it's more about the fact that like I would rather look back at the end of my life, my deathbed, and be like, okay, even if I didn't achieve it, or I didn't achieve everything that I wanted to set my mind to do, even if I didn't achieve all of it, or even if I didn't achieve most of it or whatever, I want to at least be able to say, I want to be able to at least look back and say like, okay, I gave it everything I had. I truly gave it everything I had, even if I couldn't complete it one for one, my dream life. And I think that's something that I'm trying to relay on to you watching this, because you know, you're gonna look back, and no matter how many years you lived, your life is gonna be so short. It's gonna go by like that, snap a finger. And really, no, truly, in retrospect, it's gonna look like it's gonna happen, like it all happens too fast. And it's just like, you don't want to regret, bro. It's just like, man, yeah. So all that to say, just go after your dream life, bro. I don't know, just set unrealistic goals for yourself, set impossible goals. Obviously, with going into it with the intention that there's no guaranteed of me achieving all of them, let alone even any of them I have in mind, any of these goals, unrealistic goals I have in mind. But at least you gotta live to your full potential. You know, you gotta live life to the fullest, and whatever that looks like for you, just don't give up on it, because your life's too short. See you guys tomorrow.